Okay, letting everyone in right now. Okay, everyone's in and we're streaming.
Welcome, everyone. We're going to get started in just a moment. People are coming into the room still. Okay, good afternoon. Depending on where you are, good evening. My name is Joel Whitney from Brooklyn Public Library's BPL Presents. Welcome to this conversation with Mansoor Adayfi, who has written a book with Antonio Aiello, Don't Forget Us Here, Lost and Found at Guantánamo. And Mansoor and Antonio will be in conversation with Fatima Bhutto. Before formally welcoming our authors, I want to invite you to follow some upcoming events. In fact, since we're doing this one early to accommodate our overseas speakers, we're also actually have another event tonight with Howard French launching his new book, Born in Blackness, as part of our newest branch in Brooklyn, the Center for Brooklyn History. That's at 6:30 Eastern. Tomorrow night, I'll add that we're at 7 p.m. We're featuring the finalists for this year's Brooklyn Public Library's Literary Prize with readings from the shortlist authors. You can follow these events and more at bklynlibrary.org/BPLpresents. And that's the same handle on social media. So we hope to see you at future events. I'll also say that we're happy that Greenlight Bookstore is our bookseller for this event. My colleague will drop the link to buy today's featured book in the chat. And I should mention that if you ask a question, we're streaming this, so you'll likely be heard with audiences beyond the Zoom room. Without any further ado, Don't Forget Us Here, Lost and Found at Guantánamo tells two coming-of-age stories in parallel. A makeshift island outpost becoming the world's most notorious prison, and an innocent young man emerging from its darkness. Arriving as a stubborn teenager, Mansoor survived the camp's infamous interrogation program and became a feared and hardened resistance fighter leading prison riots and hunger strikes. With time, though, he grew into the man prisoners nicknamed Smiley Troublemaker, a student, writer, and historian. While at Guantánamo, he wrote a series of manuscripts he sent as letters to his attorneys, which he then transformed into this vital chronicle in collaboration with Antonio Aiello. With unexpected warmth and empathy, he unwinds a narrative of fighting for hope and survival in unimaginable circumstances, illuminating the limitlessness of the human spirit. And through his own story, Mansoor also tells Guantanamo's story, offering an unprecedented window into one of the most secretive places on earth, and the people, the detainees, and the guards who live there with him. This is 20 years after Guantánamo opened. Adayfi tells us, helps us understand rather what actually happened there and how he survived. He and Aiello are joined by writer and journalist Fatima Bhutto. Mansoor Adayfi is a writer, advocate, former Guantánamo detainee held for over 14 years without charges as an enemy combatant. He was released to Serbia in 2016, where he struggles to make a new life for himself and to shed the designation of a suspected terrorist. He has published several New York Times pieces, including a modern love column. He contributed to the graphic anthology Guantánamo Voices and the scholarly volume Witnessing Torture. He participated in the creation of the award-winning radio documentary, The Art of Now, Guantánamo, for BBC Radio and CBC podcast, Love Me, which aired on Radiolab. In 2019, Adayfi won the Richard J. Margolis Award for Nonfiction Writers of Social Justice Journalism. He's also one of the Sundance Institute's 2020 Episodic TV Lab Fellows, through which he is working to bring Don't Forget Us Here to television. Antonio Aiello is a writer, editor, and storyteller, former the content and web director at PEN America. He worked closely with Mansoor to develop the manuscripts written at Guantánamo into Don't Forget Us Here. Together, they are working to develop a TV show inspired the book as fellows in the Sundance Institute's prestigious Episodic TV Lab. And finally, Fatima Bhutto was born in Kabul, Afghanistan, and grew up between Syria and Pakistan. She is the author of several books of fiction and nonfiction, most recently the novel The Runaways from Verso, and the nonfiction reportage about the changing world of global pop culture, New Kings of the World. Please welcome our speakers.
Thank you, Joel, and thank you to everyone who has joined us today. I'm so glad you're here to hear about this incredible book. I think we'll start with a short reading. So Antonio, over to you.
Great, thank you. Mansoor, do you want to give your introduction to the book, and then I'll go ahead and start the reading.
Yeah, first of all, I would like to welcome everyone today, especially Fatima. And let's buckle up and fly to Guantánamo. Don't worry, no orange jumpsuit, no hoods, no shackles, nothing. We're going to talk about read about the hunger strike. Don't try it unless if you want to have special course. I'm here, like we have experience 15 years. So Antonio, let's fly.
All right, thank you, Mansoor. All right, here we go. Going on hunger strike is like entering a dark tunnel where the light at the end is death. You don't know how many days or weeks or months or even years you will be in that dark tunnel, but you know you will claw your way toward the light, always getting closer. There's no peace in this darkness, only restlessness. You travel with death every inch and every second. In the beginning, there's the pain we all feel in our stomachs when we're hungry. Your stomach growls and yells, begging for food. But soon, that gnawing is replaced by the pain of your dreams. I had vivid dreams of the meals my father had made when we broke our fast after Ramadan. Lamb mandi with perfumed saffron rice, the meat so soft it melted in my mouth. I regretted every grain of rice I'd left uneaten on my plate. You let yourself go in those dreams, enjoying every imaginary bite, even if it tortures you more. Your stomach shuts down as your body begins to consume itself, starting with the fat. If, like us, you were already given little food, you had almost no fat on your body to eat. That'd be okay. Your situation would be worse if you were in good shape. In that case, you'd feel the pain in every muscle and every cell your body consumes. Days pass, and now you don't sleep very well. You're agitated and restless, and you have to stand up and walk or do something to keep your mind busy. You begin to have vision problems. You lose your ability to concentrate or focus. You feel confused. More days pass and it becomes hard to breathe, and your heart beats fast with the slightest movement. Your muscles shrink. Your cheeks hollow. Your mouth dries out and smells nasty and tastes worse. You can't get rid of it. Weeks pass and now you can't walk or stand. You have no energy. Allah, oh Allah, that was the worst. You have no muscles. Your head aches all the time. You feel your ears closing and have a hard time hearing. Talking is a problem too. Your voice has changed, and when you talk, you sound like you're gonna cry. You won't. You'll crawl further down the tunnel toward the light, and now you have a hard time holding your head up. After 4 weeks, the hallucinations begin. You hear strange voices. You travel back in time as if your current life is your past, and all are one, and the events mix and transport you away from your dark tunnel. You are just skin covering bones now. You run your hands over your face and feel deep sockets around your eyes where your muscles used to be. Your hair falls out. Your joints ache and feel loose in their sockets. Your hands shake and still you crawl toward the light. What's strange is that your stomach doesn't hurt anymore. There's no hunger. When you try to talk, you struggle to find the right word or even a word at all. Your temper shortens and you move between peace and distress in the snap of a finger, feeling that each cell in your body is dying slowly day after day. Please understand, none of us wanted to die, but we understood that going on hunger strike, we were choosing to set off on a slow and painful journey to death. At some point, we looked at our options and we knew we had no other choice. We could do nothing and die forgotten in this terrible place, or we could die trying to bring attention to our indefinite detention. I wouldn't wish this journey on anyone. Please don't go down that tunnel. You won't be the same person when you come out.
Thank you, Antonio, for that reading. And Mansoor, your book is so incredibly moving. It's a shocking story. At the time that you were sold to the US for a bounty, you were 18 years old. You were in your last few days working on research in Afghanistan. You were going to go home and you were going to carry on to university. And it was just a few days before you embarked on what would have been an ordinary journey of life that everything changed for you. And when you were taken, you actually didn't really know where you had been taken to, as you describe in the book. So can you tell us a little bit about how it was that you found out that you had been taken prisoner in Guantánamo?
Hey, wow, let's fly to Afghanistan. First of all, I read that piece about the hunger strike while I was on hunger strike in my 30th day, like 33, 35 days. Anyway, you know, subhanAllah, sometime it's destiny. I should have left early from Kabul, but there was an organization, church organization in Kabul, work as for church worker there, and we like during my time in Afghanistan, we should stay at that place because they have like a connection with our institute in Yemen. One of my friends working there in the charity, he said, Mansoor, let us go together to because they after 9/11 they liquid everything, they need to get out. He said, just this is the last stuff, we need to take medicine and logistics stuff to Qunduz for hospital, and we're going to leave. I said, okay, I will accompany you. So I have to explore the place. In our journey, we were ambushed by the warlord and taken for our car because the car belonged to the organization. It's nice, blue Toyota car, new. So they wanted the car. Then we were taken to one of the warlords. We were taken there, and I tried to resist, but my friend said, don't do anything, they're going to release us. I said, okay. I was a little stubborn, you know, like it's not easy to give up. I stayed at his home teaching his kids, you know, Arabic and math and so on. They were negotiating some kind of deal to send us to Iran, from Iran to Saudi Arabia, or paying for ransom. Then when American came, they give them more money, and I was sold to them. I made a mistake. I used to wear a white turban. So that means only Taliban leaders and commanders wear the white turban. So I was sold to the CIA, then to the black site, to Kandahar detention, then to Guantanamo.
And how did you know, was it the sea that told you where you had been taken? Because at some point you write in the book, you thought, are we in Palestine? You really had no idea, and they wouldn't tell you where you were.
You know, when we were waiting in Kandahar detention, it was a makeshift tent. When the small planes arrived, we knew they bring new people. When they brought, we call it the Beast, really big Air Force cargo plane. We knew they will take some people and they would disappear, and no one will come back. So we all were like nervous, on our toes. I mean, even the transition or the transfer was really, you know, it's another story. So when came my time, so another story. So we spent over 40 hours on the change from almost like we changed the plane 3 times from plane to plane. When we arrived, I mean, 40 hours, especially me, I had a sign around my neck, beat me. So no sleep, no food, no drinking, nothing, only beating all the way. So when we arrived, you know, I remember the first, the Marines, you know, in Arabic, Lebanese accent, you are under control on the Marines of the United States. Okay, this is one clue. Secondly, when they put us on the ferry, like there's a movement, smooth movement, like this is sea here. It was comforting because one thing. So, and when we arrived, after the process in the station, when we arrived, another story, like we have to fight all the way because the searches, it's kind of crazy. So when we arrived in our cages, I was thrown naked in the cage, and when they removed the hood, I looked around me, I saw like cement, cage, green fence, and I saw people on orange jumpsuit, all shaved, beating, bruises everywhere, swollen faces. So what's going on here? I mean, The weather seems like moderate. It's not cold, it's not hot. So we tried to, where we were, I mean, first thing we need to pray as Muslim, we need to the Mecca direction, because for the last 4 days, we are mixed in our prayer times. So at the same time, we were whispering to each other, there is a sea here. And it was nighttime. And someone found on the Bible, made in India, we're in India. So, I mean, because imagine you are being taken to a place totally disconnected from the world, blindfolded, gagged, mute, and all of a sudden you end up like, you tried at least to find out, to get your bearings.
Yeah.
So we tried to find out where we were. And this is what the first clue we tried to solve.
Yeah. And you were ultimately held. So for those of the members of the audience who haven't read your book yet, and who will certainly read it after this event, you were held for 14 years. And you were held illegally. You were never charged with a crime. You never saw your file. You never really knew why you were being held there, except for little bits of information that you picked up along the way. Who did they tell you you were?
You know, Fatima, it is crazy. I'm gonna tell you something even crazier at the end of this story. At the first, I was accused to be Al-Qaeda general, 9/11 insider, Al-Qaeda commander. You know, there is no way. You have to admit to whatever they told you, but I have problem with giving details, asking big questions. So that after I spent over 2 months in the black site, in my last days, an old man arrived. They brought me naked, tied, and he just looked at my face, looked at his files. He never said a word. And he said something in English. After 2 days, I was shipped to Kandahar detention. So after that in Kandahar, again, they sent the same file with me, and the interrogation started the same thing. Where are you? Where are you name? What are you doing? Where are Osama bin Laden? Where is Mullah Ahmed Umar? Sleeping cells, the new attack, all kind of questions. I had no idea. The same thing at Guantánamo. So Guantánamo is a big mess, and was and still a big mess, because the idea was to bring all the people to that place and let you know that people weren't brought from the battlefield, from different parts of the world. 50 nationalities, 20 languages. The youngest detainee was a few months old. The oldest was 105 years old. Imagine all kind of people, engineers, doctors, students, professors, artists, singers, mafias, drug addicts, all kind of people. Even CIA people who work for the CIA and Saudi intelligence, they were caught by Taliban and they were in jail. They were also get from Taliban jail to Guantanamo. Also, I met a Saudi Arabia sent a special team to assassinate Osama bin Laden, and they were brought to Guantanamo. It's a big mess. So again, at Guantanamo, I was classified to be one of the detainees leader. I was a little rebellious, as you know, came from tribal background, tribal code, everything black and white, right or wrong, that's it. I don't care about titles, about wherever you are. It's just like we all should treat each other equally. Military personnel. So I started encouraging my brother, started not following the orders and trying to going on hunger strike and so on. So my file was classified.
I think you'll pause slightly. Let's wait a second to see, Mansoor, if your connection returns. While we're waiting, I can turn to you, Antonio, and just ask how you two met.
It's a small advocacy world. I had worked with a filmmaker when I was at Penn who did many documentaries, and she was doing a documentary on writers at risk, and she was in touch with Mansoor's attorney Beth Jacob about some work at Guantánamo, and Beth had said that she needed some help with Mansoor's book, and one thing led to the next, and he came, and she connected me with Mansoor. Is he back? I see orange.
Yes, I see Mansoor's back. Mansoor, you have to unmute. There you go. Okay.
Hi, John. Please stop. I mean,
Okay.
So Fatima, you know, the crazy thing, after 2012, of course, interrogation never stopped. I have a backup plan. I have another Wi-Fi, so I have two.
Oh, good. I think we might need
think
the
we might
second
need
one.
So, so in 2012, I was called to the interrogation. I cannot hear you guys.
No, you're cutting a bit, Mansoor. We can't hear
Yeah,
you
yeah.
either.
I think
Yeah,
it might be
so-
back.
Okay.
Yeah.
So in 2012, I was sent back. I was asked to come to interrogation again because I put the interrogators for years and years. You know, the hunger strike because the torture and so on. When I was go to the interrogators, you know, they usually brought new people and new interrogators to train them because that's what Guantánamo turned into what they call a military lab or laboratory to train interrogators, guards, and psychologists and so on. So when the new interrogators came, how are you, man? What's your name? I am 441. I said, I would say, I am 441. I'm Al-Qaeda commander, 9/11 insider, Al-Qaeda general. Please, man, don't say that. This is so wrong. I said, no, but that's who I am. That's what I've been told to say. No, please, just tell us your story. I said, this is my story. And over, I was actually torturing the interrogators and the psychologists. The psychologists and the psychiatrists came to meet me, Mansoor, or 441. Don't say that. You have to tell them about your story. I said, this is my story. And the psychologist told me, Mansoor, you live in some kind like mental delusional. There is some, after what you have been through under the torture, you convince yourself. She came to my brothers to ask him to convince me I am not that person anymore. I said, no, you have kicked my ass in the black side. And for the last 10 years, I am that person. Unless if you want me not to be that person, send me back to the black side, torture me again, and give me my time. I will never say that. I mean, this is the crazy thing about Guantanamo. When you go to my profile in the Miami Herald, how Carl Rosenberg compare our files at the beginning, Al-Qaeda commander, 9/11 insider, Al-Qaeda general. And 2015, unclear if he actually joined Al-Qaeda. They knew. I fought with them. I said, either say Al-Qaeda who is not Al-Qaeda. They said, we cannot say just we detain an innocent man for 15 years.
Yeah, and not just one innocent man, but many, many men for many years without charge, without trial. It's a kind of, I mean, it would be, you couldn't make up Guantanamo if it wasn't real. I mean, the details are so harrowing. Even the fact that the guards would change every 6 months, wouldn't they? So they wouldn't ever stay long enough. So the prisoners would have to go through the same problems over and over again. You'd have to ask for the same demands. And I just want to read one small passage here. You write so beautifully, yet, even though everything you endured, from hunger strikes to torture to interrogation, to the fact that your family didn't know really what had happened to you for a very long time. And you write here of the sea in your book. You write, the sea infiltrated our dreams, reminding us of our past and giving us hope for our future freedom. The sound and smell of the sea were like the firm reassurance of a good friend who promises to protect you and be your witness. We all talked to the sea, confided in it, pleaded with it. Please stay with us, we asked the sea. Please set us free. And you even write about the fact that your interrogators would sometimes try to bribe you with the sea. They would tell you they'd let you look at it if you told them something. And then other days they would tell you weren't allowed to look at it for national security reasons. And I just want to ask you how it was that how did you survive? I mean, you're obviously someone with a great sense of humor. You have enormous endurance, but on a day-to-day basis, how did you get through your days?
Wow, surviving at Guantanamo take 15 years. I wouldn't say we survived. I mean, we tried to stay alive first. But Fatima and the viewer, what makes a person, as make us who we are, as unique individual, the things that we hold to, our name, faith, belief, religion, value, ethics, morals, language, experience, emotion, relationship, knowledge, memories, this is the traits that would make us who we are. Imagine if someone just extract my memories and install them on a bird memories. I wouldn't be talking, I would be singing or something. Or someone take my knowledge or experience or my emotion or my relationship, I would be like a shell. So when we were shipped to Guantanamo, everything was stripped from us. Everything, our name were taken with numbers, even our shape were exchanged. We become only figures in orange jumpsuit, and everything around us is designed to break us. You know, our job is to follow orders and to feel the pain. So what helped us to survive? Those traits we brought with us, and we have also each other. So by supporting and helping and standing for each other, one thing. Secondly, the knowledge we brought with us. Thirdly, those memories. And you know, when I told you 50 nationalities, 20 languages spoken, different background, different culture, all kind of people. You have engineers, doctors. So we start sharing those our knowledge with each other, because we weren't allowed to talk, and we have to resist. We have to do something, you know, because keeping silence only give them a mean to oppress us. And even we become, you know, silence also is another form of oppression. When you keep silence, you oppress yourself and you help the oppressor to oppress you at the same time. So we had no plan. We were dealing with well-organized people, you know, very sophisticated military personnel, advisors, consultants. They have the knowledge, they have everything. We were just, you know, we weren't organized or planned or minds. The one who actually stood the youngest prisoners from 15 to 24. So basically, we were just reacting to whatever they threw at us. And you know, one thing I would like to say about Guantanamo, when General Jeffrey Miller arrived in 2000, by the end of 2002, we all know who is General Miller. Is the one who tortured a prisoner in Abu Ghraib in Iraq, in Juba. He started at Guantanamo, developing what they call enhanced interrogation technique, enhanced torture technique. And as you know, according to ACLU and Seton Hall University, only 8% of the detainees will have connection to Al-Qaeda or Taliban. 86 were either sold for bounty money or mistaken identity. So we were in the worst of the worst of sophisticated professional killers. We were just reacting. And we tried at the beginning, you know, to figure out where we were. We tried to survive. We tried to, you know, to be who we were, you know. And even that was taken as act of terrorism, act of jihad. We were accused as Al-Qaeda cell operate inside Guantanamo, all kind of that. So, you know, first start with memories, with knowledge, you know, start sharing those stuff. Because Fatima, when you live in that place for a long time, you start constructing a new life and new memories that distance your old memories away, and start living our memories and the life we created together, a shared life. It becomes just all about Guantanamo, about, you know, hunger strike, force feeding, torture, interrogation, people who died, people who lived, and so on. And we developed a sense of humor. And also we tried not to take the situation seriously, just make fun of it, being sarcastic at the guards, being funny, being at each other, at the interrogators, and so on. So at the same time, we appreciate the things that people take for granted every single day, you know, seeing daylight, seeing the blue sky, smelling the sea or hearing the sound, and so on. So
I have a question, one for you and one for Antonio, because you mentioned this. Everything was forbidden to you, as you said. You couldn't talk, you couldn't smell the sea, you couldn't look outside a window, you couldn't do so many things. And they also denied you paper and pen, so you couldn't write anything down. And then one day they give you paper and pen, and you'd been denied the ability to write for so long that you wrote a lot of letters. So my question to you, I mean, you wrote letters to Gaddafi, for example. You heard that he helped people with lawyers, so you wrote to him. You wrote to Donald Rumsfeld, you wrote to the US Congress, and you even wrote letters to aliens, you said. And so I want to ask you what you wrote to the aliens. And then I want to ask Antonio if you ever read any of these letters, or, well, you weren't allowed to keep them, presumably, but I want to know.
Antonio, go ahead.
No, I have so many letters of Mansoor's. I have hundreds of letters, and that was one of the things that helped create the book, is that they were kind of these spontaneous moments that Mansoor had while he was at Guantanamo, and he captured himself really well. I mean, the letters are extraordinary for so many different reasons, because, and I think this is in the book, but they capture Mansoor, but they also capture him perfecting English. He had an English teacher there, Shasha, who's in the book, who made him rewrite everything over and over and over again. And so there's this wonderful perfection to the letters and to the thoughts behind them. But yeah, the letters are crazy. There are letters to aliens, letters to Bush, letters to Hillary Clinton, letters to, just about everyone, to animals, to his attorneys.
And Antonio, the letters you got sent from Guantanamo, were they redacted? Were they, how did they?
No, they weren't redacted. The strange thing, the letters I have several hundred letters, and they're rejected. So they didn't actually get out of Guantanamo.
Okay.
So yeah.
Interesting.
And what I learned from Mansoor is that there were several ways to get letters out: through the attorneys, through military mail, and through the regular mail. And he would write letters knowing that they would get rejected and come back to him. It was a fait accompli. They were going out into the ether, and he knew that they would go to the analysts and to the translators, and they would come back to him.
I mean, there's so much, Mansoor, that I think people would be curious about. And I know so much of maybe what people ask you about Guantanamo are the difficult things, are the heavy things. So I don't really want to ask you about what you were put through, but I want to talk to you about some of the unusual things. I mean, I really found it strange that prisoners in Guantanamo had Taylor Swift music. That to me sounds like torture, but I suppose it could be part of the point. But you wrote a modern love column for the New York Times, and you wrote it about something that's also in the book. You wrote about marriage classes and about taking marriage classes at Guantanamo and about iguanas. Will you tell everybody who's here with us today a bit about those classes?
Okay, I'm going to talk about those classes. I want to talk about the beautiful Guantanamo, which actually is an article. I extracted all the worst things. I just wrote the beautiful Guantanamo. First, about the letter. At Guantanamo, when I start writing letters, and I have talent for writing, I could see my brother, they have emotions, but they don't have the words for them. Mm-hmm. So a brother would come to me, please, I need to write a letter to my wife, to my daughter, to my sister, to my mother, to my granddaughter, someone get married, someone newborn. I said, okay, how do you feel? What do you want to say? It's just like they cannot express themselves. I took the emotions, I translated them into letters. I went and sent back to their family. They were, I was so happy because to connect those people together. Mm-hmm. Also, at the same time, letters I wrote to Mr. Google. It's another story. I was taking class at Guantanamo. So Shasha, a Pakistani businessman. I think you should meet him, Fatima. And he's one of
he's for release, hasn't
he? Yes. And he's the father to all of us, detainees, guards, wherever. And everyone loves him. Everyone. So I was studying. I told him when I leave here, I'm going to go to college. He said, there is a guy, called Mr. Google. Write to him. He will help you when you get out. It's very serious. Because we were in Guantanamo. We had no idea what Google or whatever. So because totally disconnected from the world. I said, okay, I wrote a letter, Mr. Google, I am Mansoor Adayfi. It's a long letter. And I sent it to my lawyer and sent it to the mail. Then I asked the guards, do you know Mr. Google? They said, yes. What do you mean, Mr. Google? It's a search engine. What? I know what search mean, what engine mean, but I couldn't make up how engine for search. It doesn't make any sense to me because I have no idea what internet is. Then I start learning about internet, about wherever, because when the dark age from 2002 and 2010 ended, we entered dark golden age, where we have TVs, PC3, we have newspaper, magazines. Fatima, the change happened just like something flipped the coin. That's it. So your question about the iguanas, yeah, I wrote about the iguanas. My friend Princess, I call her Princess. It's like one of the early friends at Guantanamo. You know, when, you know, I like as Yemenis, we get married early, 18, 20, 23. If you're 25, you haven't married yet. No, so it's crazy. So at Guantanamo, we grew up at that place. And, you know, it's kind of like we come also from a conservative background and we have feelings, especially live with each other as male, hair, long beard. One of the brothers used to say, I wish one day to wake up not to see those long hair and long beard, like scary guys. I need to wake up with wife, kids, and so on. Yeah. So we have a lot of questions like to ask about marriage life, about wives, about love, about and so on. So one of the brothers, he's actually a professor in Arabic literature. He started giving us classes in marriage classes. It was one of the beautiful classes at Guantanamo. So, so as I told you, this is the thing that helped us to survive at Guantanamo. It's the knowledge we brought with us. So those moments we shared is part of us as knowledge, and it helped us to survive at that place. So let me talk about the beautiful Guantanamo. Do you want to hear about the beautiful Guantanamo?
Yeah, yeah.
The beautiful Guantanamo is a new article I wrote it. You know, I always try to not to write about the dark moments. So imagine, as I told you, there is 50 nationalities, 20 languages, all kind of people arrive, different culture, you know, diversity, background, mindset. Imagine those people arrive at that place and they have no shared life before. With the years, Fatima, what happened? We had, like, for example, we had 1 week, each block had 1 week to celebrate or to sing each week, you know, to escape of being in jail, of the feeling of being in jail. So we used to sing in Arabic, in English, in Urdu, in Farsi, in Pashto, in Russian, Germany, in Uyghur language, all kind of languages at one night, dancing, poets, stories in one block. It was so amazing and so beautiful. However, with the years, you know, with love and acceptance and, you know, exchange, that culture and that diversity melt and mix together. You could hear a song, one phrase in Arabic, other in English, in Farsi, in Urdu, or word mixed together, because this is part of the people. How mix? You know, the poet, same thing. You know, many poets written in Arabic, in English, they were also mixing words. The dancing, you know, the beginning, each nationality would dance their dance, but then everything melted down and become like Guantanamo dance, the language, because we have to communicate that we invented our own language, Guantanamo language. So by the end, you can hear people, Afghani or Pashto or Urdu or Pakistani singing in Arabic, and Arabic singing in English. Is so amazing. Even one of the detainees used to rap with guards, competition in rapping and poet in English and so on. So that's what they call it, the beautiful Guantanamo. I wrote a full article about it, and it just how, you know, that diversity melt and become Guantanamo culture.
I just want to tell everyone who's with us this afternoon that we're going to open for questions soon. So if you have a question for Mansoor or for Antonio, please put it in the chat, and I'll start putting them out quite soon. But I want to ask also, Mansoor, what it is that you are doing now. So you've got this book out. Are you writing another book? Are you and Antonio working hard on the television and exclusively on the television idea? What are your projects for the future? What are we going to see next from you?
Okay, for now, I left Guantanamo 2.0, alhamdulillah. But, you know, this is behind me is life after Guantanamo. It's also, it's not just my story, it's everyone's story, brothers, the story of Guantanamo, the world, how they connect. You know, because there is a huge gap in our life, 10, 15, 20 years. And the world has changed a lot. So I'm writing about my life and other brothers' life. 3 weeks ago, I have graduated of my university. Hi, alhamdulillah. My thesis was about rehabilitation and reintegration of former Guantanamo detainees into social life and the labor market. I have been researching Guantanamo since I left Guantanamo. Also, I have been studying some other brother cases in different countries. I have been campaigning to close Guantanamo. I recently joined CAGE as Guantanamo project coordinator.
Mhm.
Also, we have been doing a lot of activism. Early this year, we sent a letter to Biden. 8 former Guantanamo detainees, we sent them a letter to close Guantanamo. We proposed 8-point plan to close Guantanamo. Also, I have been torturing Antonio for the last 3 years on the book. We're also developing a TV show about life, from Guantanamo with love, about Guantanamo, also from a different perspective, from different view. And one of my big plan is to get married. Honestly, I have found a woman, but my heart is broken into like trillion pieces because I wasn't allowed to travel. I couldn't get the travel document to leave.
Mhm.
So there is a lot of difficulties and challenges, but I'm trying just to keep moving forward. And sometimes I get angry and mad at Antonio, you know, because
Right.
I live by myself. so yeah, I mean, I have also another plan about, you know, after Guantanamo, but inshallah, like doing documentary about art from Guantanamo. It's one of the very important and interesting stories, art from Guantanamo.
Mhm.
And we now organizing exhibition in Chicago, and inshallah we'll do more.
And Antonio, while we're waiting for the questions to start pouring into the chat, I want to ask you what it was like going from the time before working with Mansoor and having Guantanamo be a feature of your life to now. I mean, what have you taken? What has been the education and the sort of learning process for you being involved in this kind of a story?
Yeah, I mean, before I met Mansoor, I thought I knew a lot about Guantanamo. I'd worked at Penn and at Penn American. We'd done some campaigns like Reckoning with Torture and the Torture Report about, you know, bringing out information about Guantanamo. When I met Mansoor, though, I think what cracked open for me is that I saw Guantanamo not through the filter or the lens of attorneys or law or what was redacted or through the perspective of enhanced interrogation. I saw it through the eyes of a guy who came of age at Guantanamo, who was 18 years old when he was captured and who kind of fought back as a tribal guy who, you know, was stubborn and hard-headed and got swallowed up and went down the rabbit hole of Guantanamo, where he lost 10 years of his life. And what was shocking to me was how so many real people lost their lives to Guantanamo, and not just the prisoners, but guards and analysts and interpreters, you know, medics, people whose lives were essentially turned upside down. And we don't talk a lot about those, you know, about that. A lot of the focus is on what we know, the documented facts about enhanced interrogation, which I think we all can, you know, accept, you know, vocally that happened. But like the everyday psychological and physical torture was new to me. What happened, you know, from morning until night, you know, how they were removed from life, from their family, was all new to me. I think and that's the thrust of the other projects. You know, how do we translate that into a TV show where we have Muslim heroes, and where the heroes of the Guantanamo story are the men who are in prison there. So.
Sorry, I muted myself because I have a howling dog. He'll stop in a second. No one pays attention to him.
Yeah.
I've got a couple questions coming in here. So Cheryl says that she just joined Mansoor, but she's very struck by your spirit. You're so vibrant and alive, emoting generosity and hope. Another question here, Mansoor, have there been any signs of acknowledgement from the US of its huge crime and injustice against you and the other prisoners? Any apologies or reparations, explicit or implicit?
Yeah, simple question. No.
No, that's a quick answer.
Yes.
And there won't be. I think
And there won't be.
what's fascinating about that is, and I don't think people understand this, is every prisoner that was released, they are forced to kind of, acknowledge or say that they were there for a reason. And that's the US's way of making sure that they, are justified being illegal enemy combatants. And so I don't think the US will ever accept culpability for what they did, or that the people that they held there weren't supposed to be there, even though they haven't been, like, there's still guys there who have not been charged with the crime.
Yes. And they're still being held without trial, without charge today. Mansoor, a question about your parents, about how important your parents were in sustaining you while you were in Guantanamo. They just wanted to know a little bit about your parents. Would you tell us something about your parents?
Alhamdulillah, when we come from a society where our parents play a really big role in our raising us and bringing us in helping us in our life. So yes, at Guantanamo, I always worried about my mother, my father. When I received my first letter in 2007, they had no idea where I were. I was like so afraid and how they're going to react, how my mother and my father, but alhamdulillah, I have very strong parents. But also at Guantanamo, when we start like have phone calls and my father's a firm man, and he was like, behave. Always, because they get some news, we are causing some troubles and so on. And he told the people, I know what kind of man I raised. Also, my mother also tried to hide some, because I lost my siblings, and always she tried to protect me and to tell me that the news and so on. But alhamdulillah, I mean, they support me all the way, even until now. We just spoke to them last week. Okay. And I hope we can. I haven't seen them. I haven't met them yet. As I told you, we still live in those difficulties and challenges after Guantanamo. It's kind of like hard.
Are they allowed to visit you, or?
It is complicated, Fatima. It's kind of like complicated. So it's not like we haven't left Guantanamo. There's some of us actually moved on with that life, but some of us still live in kind of stigma, and some of the brothers still in jail, like the brothers in the United Arab Emirates. They resettled there in jail. In Kazakhstan, also they have problems. Brothers who were sent to Senegal, they were deported to Libya, where they have been tortured and again rearrested again. So as I told you, when I did my research about life after Guantanamo and rehabilitation and reintegration, it's a mess.
We have a question here about, again, from Cheryl. Can you offer just one or two things that people can do to support you and other people who are still being held in prison? Oh, and Dan has put a Facebook fundraiser, a link to a Facebook fundraiser to support Mansoor in the chat. If anyone would like to contribute, the link is there. But in other ways, Mansoor, of course, people are reading your book, they're telling each other about what they're hearing you say. There's a fundraiser link here. Is there anything else that you wish people knew or you wish people could do to help?
When I was in Guantanamo, I noticed that media help a lot. So we need to keep, pushing for the closure of Guantanamo, because Fatima, what's Guantanamo? Guantanamo now is an idea. Guantanamo is a symbol of torture, injustice, oppression, lawlessness, abuse of power, indefinite detention, even a death sentence for the people who are still there. And no one, I think it's the first time in American history that people held for 20 years indefinite for that long without any kind of being charged or tried. So when you look again, many countries, they have their own Guantanamo. Guantanamo now is an idea. Guantanamo now almost like everywhere. You can being accused of being like linked to terrorism and being indefinite detained, tortured, abused, and sentenced to jail. So first, I would like to ask the people to join us for the closure of Guantanamo. Secondly, appreciate the help and support and for being here tonight. And this is kind of support too.
You've got a big crowd here, actually. Most people have super Zoom fatigue, but you've got a lot of people here. And Mansoor, if I can add into that question, how should people ask for the closure of Guantanamo? I mean, is it a question of writing letters? Is it a question of what do we do?
writing letters to Biden. As I told you, early this year, we wrote a letter to Mr. Biden. Also, we usually do some campaign with Amnesty International. I campaign about closing Guantanamo every single day in my social media, closing Guantanamo. I post. If you guys would like to see beautiful art from Guantanamo, just follow me on Twitter, Instagram, and Facebook. I post every day about art from Guantanamo. So yeah, I mean, if you follow us in Twitter and Facebook, we do sometimes do event, we do campaign and so on to keep the closure of to call for the closure of Guantanamo.
We have a question here from Will. Will you be able to travel or move freely around the world, Mansoor, at any point?
Inshallah, when I get my travel document. So far, I have been for the last 5 years fighting to get my some kind of travel document. This is one of the things I wanted to get married. Sadly, one of the brothers lost his life because he couldn't get the travel document. Lotfi, he died last year. He had a heart problem and he needed immediate surgery. He was in Kazakhstan, then he relocated in Mauritania, where they don't have a good health system that can afford that surgery. He had only 6 months. The doctor told him, you have only 6 months. If you late, you will die. He will ask his own country, Tunisia, to provide him with the travel document. He asked the ICRC. No one provided him with the travel document, and they knew he didn't have much time. He ended up dying. So it was sad. For me, I get offer to leave and visa an invitation, but I couldn't get my travel document, neither by my own government or by the Serbian government.
And so this is something in progress. You are still trying to get the document.
Yeah, I will get it eventually. I will fight to the end, as you know.
If anyone has any last questions, just pop those into the chat very quickly. Otherwise, Mansoor, what are we thinking about in terms of your next book? Are you writing another book?
Yeah, it is here, Life After Guantanamo.
Oh, this is the book. I thought this was the TV series.
No. This is the book, Life After Guantanamo, actually. I'm working on it. So first, what's unique about my book, I live them second by second, moment by moment. Then I write them. So basically, for the last 5 years, since I get out, I have been documenting and writing everything because the story hasn't ended yet. And as you see now, Antonio and I, inshallah, is going to work on our proposal to get the book done. I wrote a book about art from Guantanamo in 2018, but we couldn't manage to get a publisher to publish it. Okay. And we are working on an audible story too about, another story about Guantanamo. And I hope one day I can write another story, not related to Guantanamo, to my own life with my lovely wife and 2 lovely daughters.
We hope so too. Last question is from Neil, who wants to know if you're able to move within Serbia. Are you allowed to travel within the country if you can't leave the borders?
No, within Serbia, yes, but I have to submit a request 3 days early. Where, why, when, how long is kind of information. Okay. So what I was told. I can move within Serbia, yeah. And I would like to say hi to Anna. She's really one of very supportive friends in Serbia. Thank you, Anna.
Oh, great! There's the book. Yes, there's a link in the chat for everyone to buy the book. So do that before you leave. Last question, DK. How many of your fellow prisoners did you actually know in Guantanamo? Oh, how many people? I guess that means how many people were you in contact with, or were you quite isolated?
Yeah, I mean, we have 3 WhatsApp groups, and I have been in my thesis. I interviewed around 150 brothers around the world because I think I am the database of Guantanamo here after Guantanamo. I am in contact with everyone, following stories, cases. Also, I work, sometimes translating for them. Sometimes they have any problems. Some like Guantanamo, I still organize if they manage their issues. If there is, we can help through lawyers, or through the media, or through kind of like organizations. And one of the organizations, Cage, actually, the brothers are very supportive and help to the brothers after Guantanamo. And I really appreciate their help and support.
Well, Mansoor and Antonio, thank you so much for spending your evening, afternoon, talking about this incredible book. Don't forget us here. The link is in the chat. Everyone should buy a copy and then buy another copy for a friend. Thank you both so much. And I'm going to hand it over to Joel, who maybe will close up for the library.
Thank you.
Yeah,
so much,
thanks.
Fatima.
Thanks, Fatima, for your excellent questions. And Antonio and Mansoor, please feel free to come back. I hope you will for your next book. And we're looking forward to the TV show. To all the audience that was here, I'm guessing from around the world, nice to see you all. Thanks for being with us, and stay in touch. Thanks again, everyone.
Thank you.
everyone.
Thanks, everyone.
Thank you, Fatima. Thank you so much.
Thank you. Bye-bye.
Bye.
Bye.